And now back away slowly. Don't breathe. All right, let me get a drink and I'll bring us in. Are you loading a gun over there?
Yeah.
Sounds like you're just loading a clip.
Things are about to get interesting.
Oh boy. Hey, Justin.
What's up, man?
Not much. Just gonna hop in my Jeep and play a little Jackal here on the Two Dudes in the Nest podcast.
It's a jackal. It's a jackal. It's a jackal. So the Family Guy fans would pick that one up.
Oh yeah, I'm not a Family Guy fan, so I did not know what you were doing there.
One of my favorite Family Guy scenes. They're like, Stewie's playing with this other family, and he's playing. What's the game? It's not charades, where you're like drawing something, and somebody's got to figure out what you're drawing. Win, lose, or draw, I think was the game show.
Yeah, I got you.
I guess, but
Pictionary? Is that a game?
Yeah, there you go.
Pictionary, yeah.
And so he's like drawing, and the guy just keeps yelling, "It's a jackal! It's a jackal! It's a jackal! It's a jackal!" And it does that for like 10 seconds, and then finally, time runs out. And Stewie looks at him, he's like, "It wasn't right the first 10 times you said it. Why would it be right?" Yeah, I love that.
I'm sure The Simpsons probably made that joke first.
Yeah, probably.
And that South Park episode, Simpsons did it. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyways, so Jeremy Sharp picked this one out for us. It's a Patreon pick. And, I got to thinking, we really should have waited until October when we could have talked about Jackal during Jack-o'-lantern season.
We missed the boat on that one, didn't we?
Yeah, that's a dad joke goes out to that germ Nick Stevens.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, I think he said something about maybe a Nintendo version being better than a Sega version on their latest episode.
Oh, he did, yeah. Better call him out on that. He actually likes the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin better than the Genesis version. And he admitted it live on the Germs podcast.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Typical Stevens. Just doesn't even know what he likes, really.
Well, he's just admitting the truth, really,
Yeah. So we were talking, before we get into Jackal, we were talking before the show about computers, and we kind of started talking about Apple a little bit and stuff. So the news of the day in the tech world is Apple, right? Mm-hmm. And you're talking about your computer, which is a laptop now. Well, you tell them. I don't need to put words in your mouth.
It's an HP laptop. I like HP products. I've always used, like 90% of my. I've had only one other laptop that wasn't an HP, and I've always liked HP products. And me and Mike both are huge HP touchpad fans.
I love my touchpad. Hey, funny story about my touchpad. I have no idea how this happened, and I told you this the other day, but we got an iPad for Christmas, and as sad as it was for me to lay the touchpad down, I laid it down and did not pick it up again because the iPad's pretty great, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But so I've had the HP touchpad. I just laid it down. I turned it off and laid it down. Right. Well, I was cleaning up the office, which is one of the reasons why we're recording this a little bit later than we normally would, because I did a big sweep of the office and cleaned it up. Nobody watching the video can really see how clean and awesome it is, but you will see me sitting in a different position. Normally there's like a TV and stuff behind me, but now there's a closet and a mandolin, all of which I had, but was not facing this direction before. Anyways, that has nothing to do with what I'm about to say. I laid my touchpad down, and it's been off. So I went to go pick it up while I was cleaning. I was like, I want to see if it still turns on. I probably need to charge it, but I'm going to try it anyways. I turned it on, and it had like 97% battery left.
That's right.
There is the battery in those touchpads are so awesome that there's no drain when it's off. Most of the time when you turn a piece of electronics off, even though you turn it off, the battery just drains down over time, right? It just kind of the charge just dissipates. Not the touchpad. That thing lasted
keeps going.
It just blew my mind that I picked it up and turned it on and it had that much juice left in it.
Right. It's a awesome piece of machinery.
Anyway,
But
sorry.
anyway, so what I was saying is my laptop has essentially become a desktop, and that the battery it didn't like slowly die down. Like it didn't give warning signs. Like usually you see like your computer dies after like 30 minutes of being off the charger or something. It wasn't doing that. I mean, it still held charged 2 or 3 hours of use off the battery. Now all of a sudden, if it comes unplugged, it dies. So it's essentially a desktop now.
Man, that stinks. We have some computers at work that have done that, and I really don't know. I can't explain why. It's just weird. It just does that. The computer that I use all the time is also a laptop, the one here at the house, and it's never had a great battery life. It lasts maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, but that's just because it's like a graphics heavy computer that I had bought for school so I could do AutoCAD and stuff. So it just runs hot all the time and just blows through the battery, but it's always been that way. So
anyway, I was talking. I'm gonna, if this computer lasts me a year until I get in the residency next year, I'm gonna buy an Apple desktop.
Are you gonna go with like the screen is the computer deal?
Yeah, I mean I'd like to.
Yeah, those are pretty nice.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't really need a laptop anymore. I have an iPad, so that I pretty much use for portable stuff.
My big beef, maybe we'll need to start talking about the game. We can come back to this, but my big beef with Apple computers is they just never update them.
Yeah.
Which, in their defense, they don't really have to as much because their operating system is pretty slick. Like I have a Mac Mini from 2009 that can still do the majority of things on it.
Right.
Because it's just such a lean operating system. But it is pretty slow. And the 2009 Mac Mini is still probably one of the newer ones. I mean, they just never update their hardware. So that's kind of frustrating. Neither here nor there.
Too busy updating phones.
Yes, we need to come back to that a little bit later. This is not a tech podcast at all, but I'm assuming that Nintendo nerds are also tech nerds for the most part. So we'll come back, but let's start digging into this game a little bit.
It's a Jackal. So we can talk about some history. And I want to start out the history by saying what a Jackal actually is, because I didn't really know what a Jackal was. So I looked it up. It's kind of like a dog. Okay. They're wild animals that live in southern Asia and Africa, and they hunt as teams in packs. So,
wait a minute, no, those were hyenas. I was about to say, were the jackals in Lion King? No, those were hyenas.
Yeah, I think jackals, hyenas, coyotes, all that kind of stuff is in the same family.
I got you. Okay.
Or if you're from this area, it's a coyote.
Coyote, yep. The E is silent.
Right.
Hey, but they're really bad in this area too. I'm always afraid of my little dog.
Yeah, you can hear them out here all the time. So anyway, Jackal was a game produced by Konami. It was originally an arcade game, and that arcade game was actually named Top Gunner. But when they brought it to North America, they realized, hey, there's a very popular movie, Top Gun.
And we could make a lot more money if we named this Top Gunner and made people think it was in relation to Top Gun, but we won't do that.
But they decided to be honest about it and not do that. And they may have been a little afraid of getting sued, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
A little copyright. But either way, they changed the game's name over to Jackal when they brought it to the NES. Now, it was released first. Now, of course, the arcade game came out in 1986, and the first port was to the Famicom in May of 1988 under the title Final Command, Akai Yosai, which stood for the Red Fortress. Now, because of the limitations of the disc card on the uh, Famicom, it didn't have some of the features that the NES port actually had. Um, and this game was ported to actually several different systems. Interesting story. And a Windows PC compilation Konami Collector Series. I don't know if you ever saw this.
I
Came out in
never have.
2002.
No.
It was a computer game that had Castlevania and Contra on it.
Huh.
And Jackal was like showed like a picture on the box, I guess, of Jackal, but you couldn't actually play it by legitimate means. It had to be found by like extracting it from the executable game, or the executable file.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't even know how you do that, but anyway, so if you wanted to do that, yeah, there you go. So there was also a release to mobile phones by Akai Yosai, which was the original Famicom version. And it's got the features from the NES. It's more like the NES Jackal. But anyway, that's pretty much it as far as its history. Well, one bit of interesting. The Top Gunner variant of the game is almost identical to the international version of Jackal, but has a slight cosmetic difference. The yellow and blue flags that adorn the player's Jeeps in Jackal have been replaced by a U.S. flag. So, there you go.
So the version on the NES that we played in America does not have the American flag?
Exactly. It's the red and blue flag.
Interesting.
So I don't really know what their decision making was there, but I gotta say, if I'm looking at the box art right now, and I really like the box art.
Oh man, the box art is awesome. I describe it a little bit, and I'll see if I can pull it up for the viewers.
So you've got a Jeep, got a guy with a turret gun and a Jeep, another guy driving, and then you've got the four main characters listed, which is Bob, Decker, Gray, and Quint. The tagline is another gripping arcade game.
Here it is.
No, here's the real tagline. Oh yeah. So this is, I guess, yeah. So this is like an ad, I guess, that I'm looking at, but it's the same design, but it's got some taglines on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And at the top it says action, excitement, destruction. It is the way of the Jackal.
Nice. Hey, there's one on the back of the box that's pretty good. Take no prisoners, except our own. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make any sense. Like, I thought you're saving them, but are you? Oh wait. So if you're bad enough to get caught, you're going to go to prison.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah.
That's classic.
But anyway, so did you have this game? Did you go out on a quest to find this game?
I did not have this game, but I'll tell you who did, and where I played it a lot. Well, actually, I'll give you two guesses at who had it and where I played it all the time. Neither of these people want to be on the show.
Neighbor Kid and Carl.
It is not Neighbor Kid, because if it was Neighbor Kid, I would have it. I would have gotten it from him.
That's true.
Back whenever he gave me all his NES games.
Yeah.
So yes, it is Carl of Pulling a Carl fame. This was one of Carl's favorite games, and I would have thought that we could have got him on this show.
Yeah, right.
But alas, that's never going to happen. But no, I went down and played this game at his house all the time when we were kids. He was also my neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he could be Neighbor Kid, but
he's was my neighbor for a while.
Oh yeah, and was your neighbor for a while too.
Mm-hmm.
But so Carl had this game, and he had a brother, and he and Nick played it all the time. They were really good at it, and I was never really good at it. In fact, I never really liked it when I was a kid. I don't know if it was because Carl and his brother Nick would play it all the time,
and they
would
against you.
Yeah, no, well, they would we would take turns when people would die, but they were just so good at it they would never die, so I never really got to play all that much. I don't know if that's why I didn't like it. But I think more the reason I don't like it is, or didn't like it, is because I didn't like the idea of playing as a Jeep. I wanted to play as a guy. Like, I wanted to be running around shooting, like Commando, like for NES Commando or Guerrilla Warfare, which were two of my favorite games when I was younger. I wanted to be that and not a Jeep. And so I think that kind of bugged me when I was a kid, that you were forced to drive the Jeep all the time.
Yeah. You're the Jeep driver.
Yeah, you're the Jeep
Which I guess
driver.
there's two guys in the Jeep.
Yeah, there's a gun. There's got to be a gunner and a driver, right?
Right. A top gunner.
That's right. So, I never had it myself as a kid, but I had plenty of exposure to it when I was younger from Carl. And I wonder if Carl still has it, because he probably does somewhere tucked away. But I eventually picked up another copy later on in life. So my quest for the cart was more of a pickup later in life because I recognized it and grabbed it. But no, never had it as a kid, but played it a lot at pulling a Carl's house. So that's my story.
And he probably pulled Carl's while you were playing.
Oh yeah. And the jerky thing about it is he would pull a Carl, he'd pause it and be like, "I'll be right back." I'd be like, "I'll just play for you while you're gone." He said, "No,
Doesn't let you play while he's gone.
no, we got to sit here and look at the pause screen while I go to the bathroom."
That was the way it went with melon games in his backyard too.
Yeah, we'd just be like, "Well, we'll just play without you," and he'd be like, "No, you gotta wait on me to come back."
Yeah. So anyway,
Typical Carl.
poor Carl.
All right, you want to talk about the game?
Yeah.
I got a really good way to bring us into talking about it. How
All
about
right.
we go to the manual?
Ooh, fancy smancy.
Oh yeah,
Aforementioned iPad.
that's right. The iPad has come in handy a lot during the podcast, because I don't know if I've mentioned it on air or not. But my computer has gotten to the point. I think I've mentioned this like a billion times now, but I'm gonna do it again. My computer has gotten to the point where if I try to do too much on it during the podcast, I don't know if it's Skype's fault or if it's my recorder. I don't know if it's my video recorder's fault, but if I try to do too much clicking and viewing on the computer, it just shuts down and we lose our recording. So the iPad is fulfilling my notes and manual stuff. All right. Congratulations, you now own the authentic Konami home version of Jackal, one of Konami's many original arcade hits. We suggest that you read this instruction manual thoroughly before playing the game.
Study it.
Yes, study and read thoroughly. So that's what we're going to do this entire show. We're just going to study the manual. We're not going to talk about the game itself, just the manual.
Study it, quiz each other.
Yeah, that's right. Make flashcards.
Right.
Okay, return to Nam. Infrared satellites soaring miles above Earth have spotted dozens of American prisoners of war still trapped on enemy soil. Missing for years but never forgotten, these men must be brought home. But America is in no position to risk an all-out invasion that could prompt retaliation. Instead, the only possible hope for their freedom is a small-scale commando raid, codename Jackal. Immediately, the president turns to the Green Berets and their combat-ready tactical infiltrating Jeep Squad. The Jeep Squad is comprised of 20 all-terrain four-wheel drive super mobile attack Jeeps, each equipped with one driver and one gunner. Only 40 of the Green Berets' bravest and most cunning soldiers belong to this elite fighting force. They got good math in here. The math works out. I appreciate that. I was reading it, I was thinking, okay, they're not going to try to do math, are they? Oh, no. But it works out. Needless to say, you've been chosen to be one of the few, the proud, the Jackals. So work up your courage and polish up your guns, because it's time to save the life of each and every brave American POW. And before you go, your country would just like to say, good luck, son. Don't come home alone.
Man, I'm motivated now.
That story will pump you up. I'm
They've
telling
got a
you.
good story. I gotta admit, they spent some good time, and that's a good story.
There's not a lot of NES games that are grounded in like realism, kind of. You know, if it make, I
Mhm.
mean, it's not really realism, but it kind of is because it's Vietnam. They don't say Vietnam; they just say Nam. But I'm assuming that's
Nam.
what they.
Is it Nam or is it Nam? When you shorten it, is it Nam?
Well, if you ask Lieutenant Dan, it's a Viet. Yeah, can't
Yeah.
say that on a family-friendly podcast, but
You know that Lieutenant Dan is in one of my favorite memes, and it's have you seen the current mood, Lieutenant Dan?
mm-mm.
Oh, you need. Well, you can't look it up on your computer right now, but it's like look it
I
up
can
on
look
your
it up.
iPad. But I'll just explain it while you're looking it up. But it's
All right. It's
basically
called what now? Sorry.
current mood, Lieutenant Dan.
Okay.
That's your current mood, and it's basically him at the New Year's Eve party, just sitting there covered in confetti, just like with this unhappy look on his face. It's hilarious. But
Okay. I'm looking it up.
okay, but yeah, Lieutenant Dan.
Okay, I see. I see what you're talking about. Let me see if I wonder if I can show this on the video version of this. People, everybody at home that's in audio, as long as you're not driving, look it up.
Yeah, it's
But
a
here it
good
is.
name.
Here it is
It's a
for
great
anybody
name.
watching live.
Yeah, current mood, Lieutenant Dan.
So how do people meme that?
Well, it just says on it, current mood, Lieutenant Dan.
So if like you're in a bad mood,
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
your mood.
yeah. Everybody's like happy and celebrating, and you're just like,
That that's a good it's a good movie. I like that movie.
it's a really good movie.
All right, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
There's still more story, sort of. This is more of a call to action here. Okay, how to be a hero. Your mission begins when you and your faithful Jeep, Trigger, sounds like a dog's name,
Yeah, it does.
are parachuted along the fringes of the Cambodian border. From there, you'll claw and scratch through 6 deadly enemy territories, rescuing POWs while encountering heavy fire from tank patrols, cannon bunkers, bomber squadrons, and hostile navy. Your only means of survival are a trusty machine gun, hand grenades, bazookas, and world-class driving skills. You have a total of 3 Jeeps to risk at the beginning of Operation Jackal. An extra Jeep will be added to your rescue at a predetermined number of POWs. Jackal can be played... Do what?
We're not telling you what it is.
Yeah. Jackal can be played simultaneously by 2 players. If only one person plays, use controller 1. Your mission ends when you destroy the enemy's main fortress, codenamed Zulu, at the end of level 6.
There's a lot of Zulu talk in video games.
Yeah,
What is Zulu?
I don't
Does
know.
anybody know?
I know Hulu.
Yeah, but like, there was a game, Tom Clancy. It was one of the Tom Clancy games, one of the really popular ones. Like, what was those? They were really popular for the Xbox. It's escaping me.
Ghost Recon,
Yeah,
Rainbow Six.
yeah. Ghost Recon was the one where it's like all about stealth. You know, it'd
Well,
be like real.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Ghost Recon is like army, and then Rainbow Six is like police.
Yeah, so I guess I guess it was Ghost Recon, but they would like when you were like they were about to storm through a door, they would be like, something about like the go ahead move or the go ahead word was Zulu.
Huh.
It seems like
I don't
Zulu
remember that.
it's used a lot in like military video games, and by a lot I mean twice.
So far, twice.
So
Yeah, that's cool. You know. So the main this game, The manual pretty well spells it out. I mean, I don't really have to go into too much detail, but this is it's a top down
Mm-hmm.
in the style of like I mentioned earlier, guerrilla warfare or commando, or just like I guess a top down shoot 'em up almost, but you have a lot more control and a lot more freedom to control your character because it's not auto scrolling. You kind of move yourself,
Mm-hmm.
so the game does not scroll for you. It just scrolls as you go into the next area.
Yeah.
It is top down. You have a machine gun, obviously, on your Jeep, and you have grenades. I'm assuming like the driver throws grenades out the front while the machine gunner shoots from the top.
Yeah. It has to be, right?
Yeah, and the machine gunner always shoots up, or at least that's the only way I could ever get him to shoot. But the grenades always go in front of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when it says that your guy is really good at driving a Jeep, I mean he is really good at driving a Jeep.
You can turn
Because
that baby on a dime.
it turns on a dime. I mean, you press up, he goes up. You press left, he goes left. Press right, he goes right. Which is, for a game that's as frantic as this can be sometimes, I'm glad they didn't try to make it Jeep controls. Or
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that would have been
Turns.
terrible. That would not have
Yeah.
worked out at all.
This thing drives like a forklift.
Yeah, I mean, it just basically just turns wherever you want and goes wherever you want to go. It drives like a hovercraft.
You hear it? Train.
Yeah. I just had one too. Are they about to collide?
Maybe. if you wake up on the news tomorrow and there's a big story about a train collision, there's that nationwide story of a train collision in East Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, see, it always freaks me out when I hear a train hit my house and your house, and it's too close together to have made the trip.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've only got one track that moves between us. It's not like they could pass each other.
They can pass each other in Loudon, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. There's a spot where there's a pullover.
Okay.
Now, I see them do it a few times.
That's good. All right. I feel a little safer now.
Yeah.
But what happens if they don't hit that at the same time?
Well, one of them will usually stop and wait.
Oh, okay. That's good. So they actually communicate with each other. That's smart.
Yeah.
Speaking of communicating, 2 players in this game do some communicating.
I didn't get to try out the 2-player, of course.
It's a lot of fun. The 2-player, I didn't get to try it out this time, but I can remember when I was younger. I mean, it's 2 players simultaneous, both people on the screen at the same time, going at it.
Pandemonium.
Yeah.
I could imagine it being pretty wild and crazy because it's wild and crazy to begin with. There's a lot of stuff going on the screen at one time.
Yeah.
So.
But the gist of the game is, you're trying to rescue POWs, right? So there's helicopters flying in and landing, and there's buildings that you can blow up. And when you blow up the buildings, the people come out and get in the Jeep,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to go to where the helicopters are and drop the people off. You don't have to, I guess, but you get more points doing it that way. And this is a points-based game, which we've got high scores later, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a points-based game, so you kind of want to do that. But you can just drive through to the boss and fight the boss and be done with it if you really wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. And the explosion on the buildings doesn't seem to harm any of the POWs.
Yeah, luckily.
Or maybe it does, and we just see the ones that survive it.
Could be. I mean, it does blow a gigantic hole in all the buildings when you throw the grenade at them.
Mm-hmm. So.
Would you like to know who the 4 wild jackals are?
Yeah.
I'm guessing these are your characters.
Mm-hmm.
There's Lieutenant Bob.
Who I think is the gunner.
He's a gunner, yep. He's the finest sharpshooter in the history of the Green Berets.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Which I don't necessarily think you put your sharpshooter on a turret gun, right?
No, the sharpshooter should probably be maybe like a sniper or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have Sergeant Quint.
Mm-hmm.
He's an IndyCar driver turned mercenary. So he's not even in the Army. He's not even a Green Beret. He's just... The Army has hired this guy to drive the
he's a
Jeep.
good driver.
Because he's a good driver. He's good at driving Indy cars, which also means he's good at driving Jeeps, apparently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we have Colonel Decker from Blade Runner, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He's the commander of this operation and Medal of Honor recipient in Vietnam.
All right.
So he's pretty good guy. It kind of looks like Sergeant Slaughter a little bit.
He does.
Then we have Corporal Gray, winner of 6 European Grand Prix races and considered the greatest stunt driver since Evil Bo Weevil.
The famous Evil Bo Weevil.
Yeah. Not Evil Knievel, Evil Bo Weevil.
So, yeah, that's pretty sweet. Evil Bo Weevil.
You ever heard that song by the presidents of the United States of America called Bo Weevil?
Yes, I actually have.
I love that song. It's so good.
Yeah. A Bo Weevil's a bug, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Well, that whole album is all about bugs, if you listen to it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Well, it's not about bugs, but it's just littered with bugs and bug talk. You should just listen to the. I don't know why you'd ever really want to do this, other than it's a great album. But just listen to the whole album from start to finish, and you'll get so many bug references. It's crazy. Every song has at least one bug reference.
You know what Bo Weevils eat?
No.
Cotton buds.
Oh. So if you got a bunch of them in your house, they just eat all your clothes.
I guess. Migrated to the United States and Mexico in the late 19th century and had infested all U.S. cotton growing areas by the 1920s.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
Devastating the industry. Those dang boll weevils.
I can't stand them. What do they look like?
They're kind of like
Are they scary?
No, they kind of look like a stink bug with a long, like anteater-like nose.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I know what they look like actually. Now that you mention it.
So, stink bugs.
Not a fan of the stink bugs.
Stink bugs are the worst things ever.
They stink.
It's not like a stink, like a fart stink. It's like a weird stink.
Yeah.
You know? And if you get it on you, you can't get it off.
No. It's not. Yeah. It's not like anything else that you smell. It's similar. It's maybe a little bit similar to polecat, but still distinct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
distinct stink.
I guess I should probably clarify. Polecat is skunk. If you're not from this area, if you're not from the South, you're probably like, polecat? What in the world's a polecat?
Right.
Anyways, so sorry. Let the redneck fly, you know?
Mm-hmm. So.
All right, so in the game, you go up against a bunch of different enemies. You go up against tanks. You go up against boats. You go up against helicopters and anti-Jeep personnel guys that you can just run over.
Heads,
yep. And there's, like the game says, 6 levels. So it's a pretty simple game. It's very arcadey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
I'll be honest, even though we're kind of starting to wrap up our just general game talk here, even though I mentioned earlier that I didn't really like it when I was younger, going back and playing it now that I'm older, I love this game. I think it's pretty.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say you don't like it, but I was going to say I disagree. But I agreed that I'd love it. And it's not my usual cup of tea, being a top-down, but this one's got a lot of just fun.
It's just fun. It is just fun. Basically.
Run and gun
right?
fun, and I think this is a game that you really should check out because it's a lot of fun. So
agreed, but we'll get a little deeper into that. Is it worth it? Fun talk, but let's talk about graphics and sound and all that jazz. What do you think about the graphics?
So the graphics I think are good. I mean, really the sprites are really good for a top-down game. Top-down games don't necessarily ever have the best graphics, But I think the sprites, the detail to the tanks, and especially like the bosses, um, are really good. So
Yeah, I agree. I would not put it in the top tier NES games, but it's nowhere near the bottom either. It's for me, it's there's serviceable graphics, but good serviceable graphics. If that makes sense. For a game like this, I'm not as concerned with the graphics. I more want to know what everything is, to
hmm
know which ones are the good guys, which ones are the bad guys, which they do a really good job of with color of telling
hmm
you what's good and what's bad. Like green's good.
hmm
Um, but and don't slow the game down. You know what I mean? Don't make the graphics so great that it slows the game down.
right.
Which that's for me, for the most part, that never happened. I don't know about you, but
Yeah. No, I think it's great. And yeah, it doesn't slow the game down at all.
okay. What about the sound and music?
Probably my favorite part of the game was the
Oh
music.
yeah, the music is awesome in this game.
The music is awesome. It gets you fired up. And I looked it up, and there's some guys that covered it on guitar on YouTube. You can check that out. And there's one, I think it's a girl, but I can't see, it doesn't show her face or his face, but it does a piano cover that's really impressive
Wow,
on YouTube.
I have to check that one out.
Check that one out. Yeah.
You have to send me the link to that one. But this
I will.
music is it's typical Konami awesomeness, right? It's just the music in this game is just perfect.
Right.
I don't know any other way to describe it other than just perfect because it's really it's fun. It gets you pumped up. It never really gets old. None of
Right.
it gets old. It's just good. It's great.
Yeah. This has such a Konami feel. Like, even though, I mean, Konami had a lot of shoot 'em ups that were side scrolling. But this is, even though this one's not side scrolling, it's got a lot of feel of just a Konami game still. Kind of feels in a way at times to the top down Ninja Turtles. Like just graphically, not really the gameplay. But,
I can see that. The yeah, it's just classic. It's classic Konami back when Konami was awesome and making some of the best NES games that could be made on from anybody. This is just Konami at its best, really.
right.
It's gonna make the episode here coming up in the next few weeks where we have to spend money on games. It's gonna make it a little more interesting.
Yeah,
We played this one.
that's true. That's true.
And speaking of,
How much is it?
yeah,
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Not how much is it?
well, both.
Yeah. So you can pick this game up. Average price is about $12.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's definitely worth it for $12.
it's worth $12.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun.
Mhm.
If you have another person to play with, it is twice as much fun.
Funner. It's funner.
It's way funner. It's more funner than anything
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, you can't beat it for $12. This is one of the best top-down games on the NES. If you ask me, I think it's just great.
I agree. And
Good
you can
pick,
buy.
Jeremy.
And somebody's got some Jackal stickers on here you can buy. So
Oh, okay, sweet.
stickers.
You can put stickers on stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I may have some Jackal stickers actually. Now that I think about it, I've got some kind of stickers that remind me of this game. I got like this book of old NES stickers and cards.
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel like Jackal's in there. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Well, that's really all I got to say about this game. Do you want to talk before we get into the trophies and the game rating and the feedback? I really want to talk a little Apple.
Okay.
Just tangent, because they had the big event. They're actually making their phones. They're updating their phones to compete a little bit. Finally,
Yeah.
right?
iOS 11. This isn't. I'll tell you though. That's interesting that you worded it that way, because I was thinking about this the other day. because they revealed it, and there's a lot, I think, similarities to the Galaxy. And I was, used to Apple was the leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were the innovator, and everybody followed them. Are we starting to see a little bit of innovation from the other guys, and Apple trying to compete with them?
I don't know. See, I don't know that Apple's actually trying to like catch up.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've just gotten to like I'll use a football terminology here for all the football fans out there. I think Apple got out to a big lead,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of continuing to just air it out and score,
Push, push, push.
and
Yeah.
push, I think now they've kind of sat back and they're kind of like watching what everybody else does, watching to see what the offense is going to do, and just kind of playing defense and just kind of. I feel like they're not necessarily trying to catch up, but I think they're trying to see things like OLED technology. They didn't want to just jump right on it. They wanted to just kind of feel it out, see how. To me, I think they waited a little too long, but I think they also were just kind of waiting to see until it's more established before they jumped in.
And I think part of that was they lost their main innovator. I mean,
Yeah,
Steve Jobs is. You can't deny how much of an innovator he was. Not just the fact that he led the company, but I mean, how many patents were just in his name? The guy made the what it was.
he was really good at finding really good ideas and stealing them. I think is what I understand. Right?
How dare you? Um, but
you got to have people like that in your business, if you want to innovate.
what's the twins that tried to sue Mark Zuckerberg,
Oh,
or
I don't
they did?
remember.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And like the whole premise, like their website was like, yeah, he kind of stole the idea of a website from them, but it was like their idea was completely different than what he created.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, I don't really know if that's stealing. Like if you, like I'll give you an example here. So let's say you, um, like use sports for example. Like let's say somebody made a sports channel, and then ESPN came along and made a better sports channel. Like with that, they can't sue ESPN for making a better sports channel, right?
I guess not. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Depends on how if they got a patent for making sports channels, right? Or something. I would say no. I'm with you. I think
Yeah.
it's like you can't sue somebody for inventing a pencil, right? Because it's just. Well, I guess you could actually. I don't know. It's weird. That's why I'm not. That's why I don't work in patent offices or anything like that, right?
Yeah. So
It's too complicated.
But anyway, so the phone looks. So we're talking about the iPhone 10. It's 10, right?
Yeah, it's not.
Because there was some debate. Like this guy, because I read that it was supposed to be 10, and then this guy argued with me that it was supposed to be X, not 10. I was like,
No, they said 10. They
10.
said 10.
Pretty sure
yeah.
it's 10. But and they also released an iPhone 8, which was an odd decision.
I think the iPhone. Yeah, I mean, I think from what I understand, the iPhone 10X, what happened to 9, is going to be hard to come by,
Yeah.
and they're also releasing the 8 just to kind of maybe not everybody's going to get the 10. You know what I mean?
They're
But from what-
Nintendo the 10.
They're what? They're
They're
Nintendo.
Nintendoing the 10.
They are. I bet they are.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I've got the 7. I
Mhm.
like my 7 a lot, but boy, that 10 is enticing, and I'm up for an upgrade. And it may be impossible to find, so I may just leave it up to chance. Just if I can get my hands on it, I'll get it. If I can't, I can't.
Well, that's my thing. So I've got a 6 Plus, so I'm definitely up for an upgrade. I refused the 7 for a long time. You know this,
Mhm.
mainly because of the headphone jack. Yes, I understand all the advantages of the 7, but I was standing my ground. But I think if I come across a 10, I'm gonna upgrade to the 10.
Yeah.
So
Well, see, here's my thing, and this will be my last thing because we need to get back to talking about this game. But I was coming to like the end of the line. You know, I like to jump ship really easily. I've done it a million times now. I've been Android, I've been Windows Phone, I've been everything. I'm starting to get bored with the iPhone the way it is. It's been the same design for what, 3 or 4 years now. And as much as I like my iPhone, I've been thinking, maybe it's about time to check out like Google again. And then
the Pixel 2 is gonna be pretty sweet.
yeah, so I was looking and I was like, maybe, but then now I think the iPhone 10's maybe bringing me back in.
And I'll tell you, we had to go to Sprint the other day. They screwed up our bill, which this is one thing. I love phones and phone technology. I hate pretty much every phone service because all they do is screw up your bill, and then you have to argue with them for hours. But anyway, that's beside the point. Yes, I'm putting Sprint on blast because they overcharged us. We paid it. They were supposed to refund us. I talked to him on the phone twice. They still didn't refund us, and I had to go to the store and actually spend about 2 hours there.
That sucks.
Yeah.
See, then they need to refund you plus your time spent.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I'm completely with you. But anyway,
why should we have to go to the store? You know,
right.
Sorry.
While I was there, I was playing with the new Moto that's got all the mods on it.
Yeah.
At first I was like, yeah, it's pretty gimmicky. But some of those mods are pretty sweet. They've got a projector that'll project up to 70 inches. It's pretty sweet.
That is pretty
Played
sweet.
with that in the store. So, and I really liked the Moto X that I had.
Combine that with a demo mode, get something or another, you know? I know they have demo modes on Android phones.
Right.
And a 70-inch projector, you could really be playing some Jackal.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it would be pretty sweet. So, yeah, no, I'm with you. It's frustrating and enticing at the same time. And Samsung, I know they make great phones. I just can't. I hate their interface. I just can't get into it. Crabman's got a Samsung. It's nice. It's a nice phone. It's a really nice phone. I can't get into the interface.
Yeah, the S7's a nice phone, but I had the S4. I mean, I really liked it, but then I went up to the Moto X, which I went to iPhone after the Moto X, but the Moto X was a sweet phone. It really was.
I had the Moto X too. I miss it.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the one that had like the Kevlar backing thing on it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a sweet phone. I like that phone a lot.
Yeah.
But what kind of keeps me sticking, and one of the reasons I'm probably going to stick with the Apple is, and the reason I hated the Moto X so much, even though I just got through saying I loved it, this is one thing I just could not stand about the Moto X, is you never get updates.
Mm-hmm.
Android updates, they tell you about all these awesome features coming to Android, and you just never get them. Yeah. Unless you've got the Pixel, right? You just never get it. It's very frustrating. On Apple, today, for instance, iOS 11 come out, everybody gets it.
Yep. Unless
you've got like a 4S or something.
Then what's wrong with you, you loser?
What's wrong with you, losers? I'm just kidding to anyone out there. It's a 4S. Yeah. My wife had one for a long time, until like very recently.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I'm actually going to upgrade to 11 tonight. But
I've been on it for a while. I've been doing the beta.
Yeah.
Thanks to dude Tim for getting me in that beta stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gee.
Nice dude out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say 11 on the iPhone is me. It's fine. It's no, there's not a huge difference. The new control center is pretty nice, but 11 on the iPad, it's like night and day. So
really?
if you got an iPad, definitely upgrade it to 11 because it is heads and tails better.
Definitely will do that then.
So, all right, let's retrofitted trophies.
Yeah, I got a couple.
I got a couple as well. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
So the first one is basically get all your POWs to the helicopter, and it is get to the chopper. I
Nice.
had to. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. Arnold would be impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Not Tom Arnold.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's see. My first one is that can't be fresh off the lot, and that is get 20,000 points and earn an extra Jeep, because $20,000 is way too cheap for a Jeep.
Yeah, it really is.
Those things are expensive.
Mm-hmm. My next one is Mount Cusmore, and that is defeat the 4 heads at the end of the second level, I believe, that shoot the rockets out of their mouth. And that is do that without cussing.
Nice.
So, without swearing.
All right, I've got this one's You've Got a Friend in Me, or You've Got a Friend in Me. It's beat the game in co-op.
Oh, I like it. I like it. All right, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out too.
All right. How are we going to rate this game?
Race car driver? Since this game is obsessed with using race car drivers to drive their Jeep.
I like it. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to go with Dale Earnhardt Jr. And the reason I'm going to go with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Because he's a quitter.
Hey,
I'm just kidding.
is because he's a good racer, not the best racer. He's good. He's a very good racer, and he's very popular. I feel like this game's very popular. It's good, not the best. Shoot 'em up, top down game, but it's good.
Okay. See, I'm gonna go with Kyle Petty.
Yeah. Okay.
'Cause,
Kyle Petty's the best ever.
Yeah, because this is one of the best ever. No, it's not the best ever, but this is an awesome game. Kyle Petty was an awesome driver, and when you think NASCAR, you think Kyle Petty.
Kyle Petty.
At least I do. So when you think top-down Jeep games on the NES, you got to think Jackal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I'm going with Kyle Petty.
Oh man, Kyle Petty.
I thought about going with Cole Trickle, but I figured we might want to keep it real, keep the realism.
Yeah, Kyle Petty was just awesome. He came in like 39th every race. It was just fine with it.
He didn't care.
Yeah.
He didn't care. That's the best thing about him.
Yeah.
He's like, I got my sponsors. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I was just talking about keeping it real, or talking about realism. I was watching the Curb Your Enthusiasm earlier tonight, and Larry David had a Korean bookie, and he was talking to his Korean bookie, and he's talking about the story of the 3 little pigs. He's like, oh, you know the story of the 3 little pigs. You know, the one built his house out of bricks, and the bookie was like, pigs? No, what do you mean pigs? And then he's like, oh yeah. There's these 3 pigs, and one built his house out of bricks, and one built his house out of straw. And the bookie was like, in the news? And he was like, no, it's like a fairy tale. He's like, oh, fantasy, okay. I said, it's funny. He's like, in the news?
That's hilarious.
Anyways,
Man,
all right, we got
I gotta
any
watch
feedback for this? You gotta watch that show. They're about to come out with a new season.
No. We do
It's
have
probably one of my favorite. It's probably one of my favorite shows, and I just started recently watching it like last year for the first time. It's one of my favorite comedy shows I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, everybody loves it. Everybody talks good about it. But anyway, all right. So we got some Facebook feedback, and Jan Ian Hook says mixed, not really a fan. All right. Ken Kuzmal says this game is in my collection because I love the arcade game, but it also turns out I love this version also. I have a lot of fun with this one. I've beat it several times now. I like to enter random Game Genie codes and mess up the enemy AI. I'd say it's a medium hard game and can be a lot of fun with practice. Graphics are just okay, sound is just okay, concept is great. Andrew Coe says, I was not a huge fan, but I
That's
know.
just to interject there. That's dude Drew Backo that we gave dude chip to
Mhm.
last week, or was it last episode?
Yeah.
And he emailed us and said, "I cannot believe you guys have named me dude Drew Backo. That was not my intent when trying to get dude chip. I want dude Drew would have been fine. Dude Drew Baca would have been fine. It does not like dude Drew Backo. So
All
with that
right,
being
dude, Drew
said,
Backo.
dude Drew Backo it is, and I don't think we should ever call him Andrew, Drew, or Andrew Code again.
All right. Dude Drew Backo says, I was not a huge fan, but I know my brother liked it. I probably didn't like it because I wasn't good at it. I think we either borrowed it from a friend or rented it. I don't remember having it for too long. I don't remember nuances of the experience. Ryan Hussey says, really enjoyed this game, a game I often forget about, but every time it's brought up, it makes me want to go back and play it again. I'm not even sure if I ever beat the game. If I recall correctly, the final boss whopped the floor with me because I wasn't expecting him and never beat it. Chris Vanderhoff says I played it a bit, but not a lot. Not many memories from when I played it back in the day. I do recall that I did have fun in the arcade type game. I bet it would be more fun playing it with two players. Timmy Mack says, having played it recently, the game is really fun. Konami was one of the best of that time, and the game is proof. It's fun, controls are solid, and not too difficult compared to games like it for the time. Worth a revisit. Peter Guzman says this is an awesome two-player co-op, and that Konami music is always at its best. Sean Muldowney says the amount of games that I've literally never seen on a television screen astounds me. This is one of those games. I look forward to your thoughts, guys.
Oh man, dude, Chad, I think you'd like this one. You should try it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Matt Daly said, love it. Great two-player co-op. The comic strip style intermission screens are pretty cool as well.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about those. Thanks for bringing
Yeah,
those up, Matt. It's got like cutscene type things that look pretty good. I
yeah.
like it.
I like how after every level you get the one cut scene with the Jeep like flying in the air and they're all screaming, yeah! Same thing every time.
Yeah, it's great. It's very, very 80s, but that's all right. Love it.
Um, Landon Long says, just recently picked this game up a couple of months ago. I had always wanted this game as a kid, and boy, young me had great taste in games. This is one of my go-to games for a good time. Good controls, music, and a fun premise make this game a winner.
For a good time call.
Yeah. Greg Polander says, awesome game, one of my NES favorites. In those days, you could buy a Konami game and know nothing about it, and it would be a good time. Jackal has everything going for it. Great music, fun gameplay, good graphics, just about the right amount of length with 6 stages. Good but fair difficulty, the ability to use a Jeep, which is pretty unique, and tough boss fights. The ability to upgrade weapons is nice, and freeing hostages adds another element to a classic run and gun style game, reminding me of Choplifter in that regard. Much better than the arcade game. This could be said to be a reimagining instead of a port due to all the changes. A true NES classic.
Well said, Greg. Couldn't have
Yep.
said it better myself.
Right. Cecil Dredge says Jackal is one of my all-time favorite NES titles. I played it like crazy as a child, and to this day, a few good craft IPAs, some buddies, and some multiplayer Jackal equals a good night in my opinion. Thumbs up, Canadian flag.
All good except for the IPAs.
No, yeah,
Not an IPA guy.
yeah. It's like Miller Lite. That's my thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to be when you find a good beer. It's hard to why deviate, you know.
Right, right. All right, Gabe Van Gilder says never played Jackal. Need to get this cart. Been playing my favorite game as a kid. I first played on the Master System, Alien Syndrome. It rips a lot of Aliens movies off, but great NES game. hard, though. Hope you cover it someday.
So instead of giving us feedback for Jackal, he just said, "I'm just going to talk about this other game."
Yeah, let me tell you about this other game now.
Thanks, Gabe.
Yeah.
I have friends like that, including Gabe, but that always gets me. Like we'll be talking about something, and they'll be like, "Yeah, Domino's Pizza is good, but I really like this sushi place over here." I'm thinking we're trying to talk Domino's, okay? We're trying to figure out what pizza to order. He's like, "Yeah,
Right.
sushi."
Right. Andrew Zeismer says, great game, decent challenge. Paul Bisciglia and I had one hard time tackling this beast, but it was a satisfying play. Good graphics, good music, one of my favorite running guns.
Awesome. Yeah, Power Trip Gaming covered this. If you want to see some action, an actual video of people playing the game, not just sitting in their room talking about it, like us, then go check out Power Trip Gaming. Highly recommended. Not family friendly, but recommended nonetheless.
John Simmons says, great co-op game. A lot of fans of the co-op. Aaron Hickman says, in stuffiest voice possible. Well, I, for one, am a much bigger fan of Top Gunner. Kidding. I love this game. 2-player is best. Music is great. Konami actually made some good changes here, I think, like Contra, for a satisfying experience, despite the limitations of the NES.
Yeah, that's a good point. Konami does. I hate to say good point. No, never mind. I realize that Hickman is the one that I'm saying made a good point. I better stop there. But no, really, Konami does a good job of. You always did a good job of porting their arcade games to the NES, and instead of just trying to make them exactly like the arcade and probably lose something in translation, they just kind of rework the game.
Right.
They did that often, like with Contra, they did that too, and they usually make it oftentimes better than the arcade game.
Yeah. All right, so Jeremy Sharp rounds us out. Really, it's just a preview because he says, made my first call.
That's right, he did.
Hopefully it's not a terrible voicemail. Anyway, I left my thoughts on Jackal there. Pumped to hear the episode and your thoughts. Unless you hated it, then I'm not sure where to go from here. And that rounds us out on Facebook.
Okay, well, I guess I should just skip to voicemail instead of going to Twitter or anything, right?
Let's hear what he's had to say.
We got a little transition here. That's a good segue. Okay.
Hey dudes, this is Jeremy Sharp here, and this is my first time to call in. But since I chose the game Jackal, I felt like what better time than now to make that first phone call. So, funny thing about this game, it's not necessarily a top pick on my list, but growing up, one of my best friends is the only person that I've ever known to even own it. But man, we played it a ton, and it was just one of those games that we'd get together, we'd beat, and then we'd move on to the next one, but we always played it. And I always thought it was a decent game. Good graphics, music, controls. It's a super great 2-player game. So when I went to college, he let me borrow his system with some games. And since I'm a super crappy friend, I'm embarrassed to say that I kept that system for like 20 years. And he finally asked for it back last year. And so this is where my collecting journey begins. I join getting all of your podcasts, and I dive in starting to collect everything NES. And so Jackal comes up as a game that I need, and I have a terrible time finding it in any stores. And not just that, but no one even seems to have any experience with it. Employees are looking it up. Like, no one knows what this game is. And I was just really shocked because I guess I just kind of assumed because it's a Konami game that it would have some type of a following. But anyway, I ended up finding it in Chicago a couple months ago. It was about $8, and it's a solid game. But I had to hear your experience and the community's thoughts and feelings on this game as well. It's got a lot of nostalgia for me, but it should be a fun game for most people. So anyway, I'm so thankful for you dudes. Thank you so much for all of the hard work that you put into the show. I am a huge fan, and will continue to support and follow. And but I am wondering, am I on the cusp to becoming dude, Jeremy? Fingers crossed. Bye.
Well. All right, so everybody listening, Justin dropped off. I think something may have happened to his internet. He says he's on his way back. His computer shut down, I'm sorry. So I'm going solo here for a minute. And good thing I've been training on the Switch Up episodes. So I'm really, I'm ready to really tell you guys things and talk by myself, etc. And if you're watching the video, you see, I guess, my mouse wiggling around and some things on my desktop, and you probably just saw my friends list a second ago on Skype. But, all right. So, Jeremy, thanks, dude, for the call. And it's funny I say dude, and it's funny you asked about being a dude and when it was going to be your time. I was just thinking, and I was going to mention this to Justin, that this is such a Jeremy-centric episode that it may be just about time to make Jeremy a dude. Now, I think I can speak for Justin. I don't think Justin will mind. I'm going to go ahead and say, dude, you are a dude. All right? So welcome to the fold, Jeremy. I think we're going to call you, let's see. We won't come up with as funny of a name as we did for dude Drew Bacco because I'm by myself and I can't be as funny by myself as I am when I'm with Justin. But we'll just go with sharp dude. You're just a very sharp dude. Kind of like ZZ Top said one day when they were walking down the street and they said, every girl's crazy about a sharp dressed man. Well, all the dudes crazy about a sharp dude. So welcome, Jeremy. Thanks for being such an active member here recently. You've really done a lot in the group. Lots of commenting, lots of posting, all the good stuff. All right, moving on. Let's talk Twitter. I want to read some Twitter feedback. On Twitter, Daniel Martinez, or otherwise known as @ElectricMaestro5, says Jackal marks a rare occasion in which a shoot 'em up on the NES game is ground-based as opposed to air-based, and it's quite fun as well. I would have to agree. J Air says, a very good game, especially two-player, with a very good soundtrack. It's Contra on wheels. I could see that kind of. It's like a top-down Contra on wheels for sure. Phil Nimba, says super underrated game, and at one point Konami was going to make a Jackal rebirth for the Nintendo Wii, but it was quietly canceled, unfortunately. And that is unfortunate. I would like to see a rebirth of this game, or at least just a release on like the Virtual Console or something. The non-existent Virtual Console that we don't have on the Switch would be nice, But, we got to deal with what we got. So, and what we got is the NES game. So hopefully everybody's able to find that or demo mode that or something. All right, so let's go to Google Plus. See if Ryan's over there. See if he's got any friends. So on Google Plus, we have Ryan Ballard. Looky here, he's by himself today, but he says, "Whoa, I remember this one. My kid brother got it for his birthday one year. I remember enjoying this one as a kid, playing co-op with him. While I came appeal to how it aged, as I haven't touched it in a quarter century, I have good memories of it." So he cannot speak on how it's aged because he hasn't played it, but he remembers it being very good. So thanks, Ryan. That's pretty much it. Let me check the Facebook page as well. Let's see what anybody on the Facebook page talking. Don't know. We're going to find out here in a minute. And my Facebook is acting up, so I don't know. If you spoke to us on the page, I apologize because it's not wanting to pull up like I thought it would. And okay, I guess I can go ahead and start telling people where to find us. You can find us at nesdudes.com. That's the best way to find us. Or just search Two Dudes in an S on the internet, and you should come up with something. And you can find us, or you can call us via cell phone or home phone or whatever kind of phone you have, like Jeremy did this episode. And that number is 775-7-RETRO-1 or 775-773-8761. And you can call us, leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show. Always enjoy getting the voicemails. Always helps boost your chances of becoming an honorary dude, like the Sharp Dude or Dude Drew Backo or any of the other awesome dudes out there. All right, so Facebook page. It does look like we have a little something on there. So on the Facebook page, we have... Oh, just kidding. No comments on the Facebook page. So, Facebook page doesn't get used all that much. Facebook page used to be the only way to communicate with us, but since Facebook introduced groups, it really has not been... It's really not been utilized all that much. We still post there so you guys can see it if that's your way of communicating with us. But if you rather be in the group, we'd rather have you in the group also, because the group's much more personal, much more connected. You speak to us directly most of the time. It's just and I are in there. You guys already know this. If you're in most everybody, I think, is in the Facebook group. Actually, I'm just kidding. Most everybody is not in the Facebook group. There's a lot of people that listen, and you're not in the Facebook group. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe you just don't like Facebook, so that's fine. But if you do listen to us and you like us, you like hearing what we have to say, I would say you should hop on to iTunes or whatever podcast service you have. If they have a review or a rating system, please give us a rating. We love 5-star ratings, especially on iTunes, because iTunes is still the biggest market for finding podcasts, and the best way to get us near the top of the list of things people can find is to rate us and review us, because the more 5-star reviews we get, the more downloads we have, the higher up we appear, and the more likely people are going to see our podcast and subscribe to us. Now, if you really like us, you like us way more than just leaving a review. You like us enough to take money out of your pocket and lay it down on the table and say, here, dudes, here's some money. Then we also have a Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/NESdudes. We obviously would love to have donations given to us to help us keep the lights on. I will say that right now we have enough money coming in every month to cover our hosting and all that stuff, and put a little bit to the side to provide some really good stuff for the junk box. But if you want to add to what we can do, maybe provide better stuff to people, or maybe give out some more stuff on the show, first of all, you got to accept your winnings. We still have 2 games that have not been accepted from previous episodes. We may just have to give them out again. But, if you want us to give out more stuff, you want us to do more, you want us to get better equipment, all that kind of stuff, please donate to us on patreon.com/NESdudes. I tend to ramble, apparently, whenever Justin is not on here with me. So I'm going to close this out here. Justin doesn't look like he's coming back. It's taking a long time to get his computer rebooted. I'm just kind of stalling at this point. So I'm going to close this out. So we'll do some shout-outs. Shout out to the Retro Junkies. All the awesome shows on there. You can find those shows at theretrojunkies.com. You can find out who all's on there, links to their shows, links to their websites, whatever we have should be on retrojunkies.com. Also, shout out to the Wee Dude, the Wee Guy. He's known as the Wee Guy on YouTube. He does lots of stereo NES tunes. He's got, oh man, I don't know. I don't want to say he has them all, but he has pretty much anything you can think of in stereo, 8-bit, chiptune, music from the games. You can search him by game. He's known as the Wee Guy on YouTube. Check him out. We call him the Wee Dude just because we're dudes and we're just trying to confuse everybody, I guess. But Wee Guy on YouTube. Also, big shout out to the Fox Dude for awesome logo. He really does good work, and we definitely appreciate it. And I guess that's it. So the next time you hear from us will either be another game in which we'll have a honorary dude on. It'll be an honorary dude episode. Or you'll have Justin and I talking about how much money we want to spend on games. That episode could be next. It's just a matter of scheduling. So regardless, I want to put the music for the next game on the end of this episode. It will be the music for the game, regardless of what the next episode is. So if it's the money episode, the spending on games episode, buying games episode, then obviously this is not the music for that. This will be the music for the game after that episode. Or the episode about the game may come before the... You see what I'm doing here. Anyways, here comes the music. See you guys later. Bye.